Well, hello once again, all my classic dirt bike loving YouTubers, and thanks once more for taking the time to visit my channel as we check out more of your favourite motocross racing machines from back in the day. Now in this featured short video clip we're going to take a quick look at a couple of very nice CZ machines I managed to capture at the classic Motocross the Nations event, which was held at the Bennett's Hill racetrack near Reading in the UK in 2015. So let's get right into it with a look at our first machine. Now our first bike is a CZ 250 single port machine, and this particular bike belonged to Frenchman Guy Froment, or Froment, whichever way you'd like to pronounce it. Now with regards to the particulars of the actual bike, I of course at the time was unable to decipher the particular individual parts on this bike, mainly because the bike's owner Guy, who of course was French, didn't speak a word of English, and of course I couldn't speak a word of French, so trying to get the individual parts lineup of this bike was a bit of a fight. But nevertheless, we're just going to post the bike here just to have you look at it, because it's such a nice looking little tricked up CZ. Although the main reason that I captured this bike was it just caught my eye, and it was just an outstanding little 250 twin shock machine, and so immediately I grabbed my camera and started snapping away. Now, as opposed to which year of manufacture of this bike is, I'm not sure, but the bike is of course certainly not an original machine. There is some very nice trick modifications on this bike, and it's certainly not an original bike by any account. And you can see straight away that the brake pedal has been replaced and drilled to cut down on the weight, the overall weight of the bike. The carburettor of course has been changed as well. These would originally have had the old Jikov carburettor, but it looks like Guy has fitted a very nice modern Mikuni to this particular bike. Now the bike appears to have retained its original CZ hubs and forks, although the front wheels look like they've been changed on this bike to these XL rims. Now there's some very nice modifications being done to the triple clamps on this bike. As you can see, Guy has fitted a pair of bar risers to lift the front end of this bike closer to his body, a good 2 inches of improvement on that front end. Now the top and bottom triple clamps of course are not the originals for this bike, but looks like Guy has had these specifically made for his bike, and they certainly look the goods on this lovely little 250 twin shocker. Now, as I mentioned, the hubs are the original CZ hubs, but the wheels have been replaced by these XL rims, and also looks like Guy has manufactured this bespoke primary drive sprocket guard. And one of the other items that are not standard of course on this bike is this well engineered heavy duty brake tie bar and combined chain roller assembly, once again made out of light aluminium, and of course this has also been drilled to reduce the weight, but nevertheless a very nice little piece of engineering on this little 250 CZ. Now once again, this is not the original exhaust system for this bike. This looks like a replacement CZ exhaust from Gerard Coppens. Gerard Coppens of course has loads of spares and upgrades for these CZ machines, and you can find Gerard Coppens' website at CZ Stuff. But nevertheless, despite all the modern and upgrades on this bike, it's still a very nice little Twinshock 250 racer, and some of the upgrades that the guy has fitted to his particular bike, for me personally, just complement the actual machine. Of course, it's not a standard original machine from back in the day, but very few of them are, and it still looks to me like it's a very good purpose-built little racer. Okay, this brings us now to our second featured machine. Now this bike is Keith Best's 380 CZ. Now Keith of course needs absolutely no introduction to classic and vintage motocross, and Keith races these bikes regularly in the classic and vintage motocross scenes across the UK, and very frequently takes part in the classic Motocross des Nations event teams for England all over Europe. Now of course this bike is not a fully original machine from back in the day, although Keith has fitted some very nice parts to just improve the handling and the overall ergonomics of the bike when he's riding it on the track. And as you can see here, Keith has went for this black theme on his particular bike, and for me personally, this is actually I think is very nice. For me personally, I think the black really suits this Czechoslovakian CZ machine. As you can see on the left hand side, the gear shifter is the standard layout for this CZ machine, and there's many of these CZs now have these linkage gear shift changers, but as you can see, Keith has kept his original one. And once again, not the standard carburetor, but another high quality Mikuni replacement. There's very few of these CZ machines still use the Jikov carburetors. These Mikunis do the job much better. But this particular bike is very quick with Keith in the saddle. I've seen this bike in action at 2 or 3 of the Motocross des Nations events, and Keith is very quick on this 380 CZ. Now, just as our previous bike, the exhaust system is not the original for this machine. This is another upgraded exhaust system, possibly once again from Gerard Coppens' CZ Stuff website. Another well-engineered rear brake torque arm, complete with the bottom chain guide in of course aluminium once again, with more holes drilled out to save some weight. As I mentioned, the black is quite an unusual colour for CZ machines, but personally for me, the black I do like. Now once again, as you can see, Keith has a pair of these very substantial alloy billet aluminium triple clamps fitted. A very nice piece of motorcycle engineering. Once again, Keith has fitted a pair of bar risers on the handlebars, and he's also, I see, fitted a pair of these ASV unbreakable clutch and front brake levers. But of course, if you attend any of these classic and vintage race weekends throughout the UK, mainly in the south of the country, you will be able to see this bike and Keith perform on this very quick little CZ. And as you can see, that very nice exhaust system. There are many different types of exhaust systems available for these old CZ machines. But of course, fitting upgraded parts to these machines don't necessarily make the bike less authentic or make it lose its originality. To me, the new parts just make the bike more easier to ride. Now, this was a picture I captured of Keith on this particular bike. Although this was not in 2015, this was at the Classic Motocross Nations in Northern Ireland a year later in 2016. But there you have it. That's Keith Best's beautiful 380 CZ race bike. And of course, we had a look at Guy Froment's 250 bike earlier in this video. So I hope you've enjoyed looking at these two very nice CZ machines, and don't forget there'll be more classic dirt bikes coming up on my YouTube channel very soon, so I hope you will continue to subscribe to my channel to see more of these wonderful bikes. Once again, thanks very much for watching, and we'll speak again very soon. This video was brought to you in association with Wolfsport, the world's #1 supplier for all your off-road and leisure sportswear. Just visit their online website or give them a call for more details.